Hello and welcome to Dami Tries This. I hope you brought your cuppa. This cup is from last year's Valentine's Day. And the tea today, Stash Golden Chai. Got a nice little spicy flavor to the back end of it, but it's not spicy. It's just a really nice warmth. Love that tea. Got a box, wiped it out almost instantly. Anyway, today I want to talk about things I fell in love with in 2017. I don't want to say the best of 2017 or the worst of 2017 because I'm not a makeup guru. I'm just your average older lady who, so I don't know a lot about what's actually good for your skin and what's not good for your skin. I just know what works for me. And also, I really want to keep things kind of positive. So we're just going to talk about the things I fell in love with in 2017 rather than best and worst. I'm actually really new in my makeup journey. My daughter, I should say re-journey. My daughter, my middle daughter gave me some things for Mother's Day and Christmas in 2016 that got me back into makeup after probably about 20 years of being out of makeup. And if you're a mom, you know what I'm talking about. When you're running around with toddlers and stuff, you don't do makeup very often unless you have to work. And then, even then, maybe not. And she made kind of a monster of me. And so in 2017, I think I actually came into my own when it came into makeup. And I started finding my preferences. Early in the year, I was buying a lot of lower end makeup, figuring things out. And then towards the end of the year, I started getting more thoughtful about, particularly in palettes, and looking at, am I going to use that? How often am I going to use that? Am I going to use all of that? And I think that was kind of important for me to do. Anyway, so I actually tried to film this video earlier this week. I wanted to get it up by Friday. And unfortunately, the first video was almost an hour. And on top of that, in the kitchen, in the course of that hour, the way the sun ended up coming through the windows, it totally washed me out. So we are in a new location. This is my living room. All the stuff back there is part of my husband's Coca-Cola collection. I'm trying to let it move over. Plus, if you look over there, you can see the shelves. Maybe that is part of his shot glass collection. So I think it's much better than the kitchen in terms of homeliness. And hopefully the lighting will work better. So let's get started because I don't want this to be another hour long. And so one of the first things I want to talk about is skincare. Up until late 2016, when I actually ordered a thing or two from Sephora and got samples, my skincare pretty much was grab a washcloth, put warm water on it, wash your face, put it down, you're done. When I started getting samples, I started actually getting into skincare, and now I'm really into skincare. And my favorite skincare company is First Aid Beauty. Their stuff is relatively affordable compared to a lot of other high-end skincare. Most of them, you do not need a whole heck of a lot to use. So you may spend $30 on something, and it'll last a long, long time. And then it's gentle, and I love their products. So the first thing I want to share with you is their cleanser. And we're still going to have a little trouble with lighting, it looks like. Just turn it this way. So you can't really read it, but there it is. This is their cleanser. First Aid cleanser. This stuff is light. It's creamy. Moussey. I'm going to have to adjust to new lighting here. I have a box I'm throwing things in when I'm done with them. It foams up really well. It's a really, really nice cleanser. Like I said, it's very, very gentle. Gets the job done. It gets the makeup off my face. I usually use baby wipes to start to get most of it off to begin with. And then I go through with the cleanser. I use that twice a day, most days. I use it after a shower. Usually I work out almost every day, and I take a shower, and I'll use it in the shower. And then I use it just before bed. A lot of these things I use just before bed. The other thing I know I've mentioned before, and that is the First Aid Beauty Radiance Pads. And these are textured on one side, not textured on the other. I've got to get used to new camera angles now. I'm hoping you can see that there's a little bit of texture on there. And I have found these are supposed to tone and brighten and exfoliate gently, do more exfoliation. So I use these at night as well. And I have noticed that with the First Aid Cleanser that they come out less dirty than when I use them with any other cleanser. I have used the Fresh Soy Cleanser. That one is actually really kind of, you don't get as much for your money as you do with the First Aid Beauty. And I have noticed that these are actually cleaner when I use just the First Aid Beauty Cleanser. I only recently started, like in the last couple of weeks, started doing stuff for my under eyes. And First Aid Beauty has this 5-in-1, I'm so sorry, 5-in-1 eye cream. There we go. And this is supposed to smooth and brighten and even out your tone and nourish and moisturize. Now, I'm not sure what the difference between nourish and moisturize is, but I have noticed that my texture in my under eyes has gotten a lot less, has smoothed out quite a bit, and a lot of the discoloration, there is still discoloration that I have to color correct for and conceal, but it is a lot less than it was when I first started using this. This is a $30 bottle. I actually got this in my Ipsy deal from a few weeks ago that I mentioned, and I was really astounded at the size of this. But again, you don't need a lot of it. You really don't. I like the way it applies. You just put a little bit on your finger, and it's a really nice light cream. It doesn't irritate my eyes at all. In fact, my eyes can already be irritated, and this stuff will help soothe them and calm them down. I have 2 moisturizers. Actually, technically, I have 3. So, but one of them I actually don't use on my face. This is the Coconut Skin Smoothing Priming Moisturizer. It is one of the first things that I got introduced to with First Aid Beauty. This is not perfect for me in the summer. This is a very lightweight tinted moisturizer. And I put in too much. But I don't know if you can. It's a lightish tannish brown. It's very smooth, very creamy. As you can see, a little bit goes a long way. A long way. And it does blend in. You can kind of see it because it's not completely blended in. But it is a very light moisturizer, and I'm actually kind of sad that it doesn't work as well for me in the summer as it does the rest of the year. But I have a very heavily oily T-zone, and in the summer that's a lot worse. In the winter I'm much drier. But I do mix this in with my foundation, and it lightens up the texture of the foundation. So I wouldn't recommend this for something that's really liquidy. It also adjusts the color just a little bit, not a lot. But anyway, I really like this, and I highly recommend it. The other First Aid Beauty thing I have that a lot of people use as a moisturizer is the Ultra Repair Cream. Now, the Ultra Repair Cream, I don't use it on my face. Like I said, a lot of people do. Where I use it is on my feet. I'm a barefoot mama. I go out in bare feet all the time. That's my bread maker, letting me know that I can add things to it. Anyway, I go out in bare feet all the time, except for now. It's a little cold right now. And as a result, my feet are kind of a mess. And I started using the Vaseline Intensive Care on my feet. And it did a good job for the most part, but one foot has more problems than the other. And this stuff started to clear that up. I obviously need to replace this soon. It's a smaller sample size. But yeah, this amazing stuff. Amazing stuff. I have a second moisturizer, and I think this one is actually better for me in the summer. I won't know until summer. I've had it for a while. I played with it a little bit when I first started doing moisturizers and stuff. And the one thing I've noticed is that when you first start doing moisturizer, your skin doesn't know what to do with it. So when I got this, I did it once or twice and went, eh. Lately, it is lighter than the First Aid Beauty. So lately, I have been using this Clinique Dramatically Different Moisturizing Gel. And again, it's a little sample size. And I've actually had this one for a long time. And it's another light, jelly kind of moisturizer right there. It's kind of a yellowish color, but that color just completely disappears. It's lighter than the First Aid Beauty. And what I find with this one is I actually sometimes have to add a little extra on my cheeks, which is where I'm dry. But I'm really hoping, I've fallen in love with it for helping me after, like, when I do masks and things. And my skin is a little drier, and my regular moisturizer that I've been using a sample up. When that doesn't do quite enough, this really works on my cheeks. So I will have to update you and see if it really does work for me for summer this year. But I love the texture of it. It does soften and moisturize my skin without my T-zone becoming... I only mask... Well, I have been masking 3 times a week. I'm kind of running out of my samples, and I'm about to order some replacements very soon because I'm running out of my masks. And I'm about to also think I'm going to go down to twice a week, probably fairly soon too. Anyway, my favorite mask is this Origins Clear Improvement Active Charcoal Mask to Clear Pores. Oh, you can see that one. Well, yeah. Anyway, it's another sample that I got in one of my boxes. A lot of this stuff I got introduced in boxes. This stuff, I love this stuff. It does say to clear pores. Honestly, I don't have that much. I do get a sprinkling of a pimple here and there. I do not have breakouts. But the thing that I've noticed with this is that I have these 2 spots right in my upper cheek area, right in here, on both sides, that are a little red, a little discolored. And I noticed when I started using this that those spots started to fade. And as a result, I just love this. There's another one that I also use. It's the Kiehl's Deep Earth Mask, I think. I don't like it as much, but I think it also helped with the discoloration as well. So, highly recommend. I'm about to get a refill on this because this is going to run out pretty quickly. I have one hair care item that I use. I want to go faster, and I feel like I'm talking. But anyway, try to get through this. Anyway, my hair care item, I got this in the Sephora Play. And when I first saw it, I have curly hair, so I'm oily on the scalp, and my ends get really dry. And when I saw this, it's a hair oil. I went, oh no. I imagined it was going to take everything and make it greasy. So I figured it'd be good for the ends, but as it turns out, it's good for everything. I actually used it. My hair, when I was done with my makeup today, was completely flat. And this stuff, it's just amazing. It brings life back into your hair. I'm trying to... There we go. This is, again, another small sample. I'm going to have to replace it. And it has an amazing smell. Oh, God, that smells so good. It's warm and spicy and... it's an amazing smell. I'm just going to go, it's just an amazing smell. I can't wear perfumes because of my allergies, but this stuff, it's basically a perfume in my hair, and I love it. I love what it does for my hair. I try not to use it very often. You do not need to use a lot of this to have it work well in your hair. I basically put 2 little dots in my hand for my hair today. And like I said, my hair was originally completely flat today. and now it's not. This stuff is amazing, amazing, amazing stuff. Okay, so I'm going to get to my eyeshadow palettes last. And I'm going to try to rush through most of the rest of this. So let's get on with some of the basics, and then we'll go from there. I have two primers, one for my face, the other one for my eyes. And my favorite primer that I fell in love with this year is the NYX Hydra Touch. This stuff is, it feels so cool and refreshing, and it smooths out the skin without being tacky. It adds moisture, and it's light. It's another one of those really, I have to replace, I'm getting a replacement. It looks white when you put it on the skin, but again, it's something that just completely blends out. It does not leave a white cast at all. There's a slight blurring, but not a lot of it. And I just love it. I love the way it feels. I've gotten other primers. I had a green tea primer. I've tried the Too Faced primer. I've gotten lots of samples of primers, and I keep going back to this. None of them have impressed me enough to go to anything else. The other primer is the Kryolan Professional Makeup Eyeshadow Primer. Now, I actually have a spot on this eye where makeup just goes, it just disappears. It doesn't melt. It's like it fades in 5 seconds flat. And I have been struggling all this last couple of months of 2017 trying to take care of that problem. I've done the foundation, I've done the concealer, I've done the foundation and the concealer. And while those helped, I still end up with a patch. This stuff made me a believer in eyeshadow primer, and this eyeshadow primer in particular. Yes, I still have a very teeny spot that happens, but since I started doing this, using this, it's really small. It's almost non-existent, and it's much easier to patch. Before, when it came off and I tried to patch it, the shadow would look cakey and wet and just not attractive. This stuff prevents that from happening. I can patch my little area, and it does look a little different from my right eye, but it's not enough to make a difference, really. And it's not wet, it's not cakey, it's not cracked, it covers it up. So amazing stuff, worth every penny. And I will link these down below. I also have two foundations. When I first started looking for foundation, I bought an expensive foundation, and supposedly relatively skin matched to it. I mean, I hadn't gone in and actually gotten matched, but I used a questionnaire and tried to match to it, and it came out orange. I'm sorry, I'm not orange. And I know a lot of women of color have this problem where the undertones of their foundation just don't work. And I decided after that not to buy a high-end foundation until I found my color. And my first one that I found is the one that I use most of the year. As I mentioned, I'm oily in the T-zone, and it's worse in the summer. And it gets worse towards the end of spring, and it sort of dies off end of fall, beginning of winter. So most of the year, I will use a pressed powder foundation. And this one actually matched me the first time that I bought it. It's affordable. It's an affordable foundation. You're not going to really see it. It doesn't look dry. It doesn't look cakey. My oils are controlled. It really is a good foundation. And I feel like it does moisturize a little bit. Hydra Touch, it's not, I think that's why it's not a really dry, powdery powder foundation, but it's not a liquid, so it really works for me, and that's what I use most of the year. But in the winter, I get really dry. Not really dry, but drier. Um, my T-zone oils, the area that I have problems with actually shrinks and sticks to just right in here, mostly. And my cheeks get really dry, like I mentioned earlier. So I started looking for a liquid foundation. What I found is I don't like a really loose. I like more of a moussey texture. And so this is what I use. I use the Tarte Amazonian Clay 12-hour foundation with SPF 15 in medium tan honey. Now, I did have to do 3 or 4 different matches to finally get the right one, and thank God Sephora takes them back. I really like that this is not a loose foundation. It's a very moussey foundation. It smooths out beautifully. You're not going to be able to see it. I'm trying. Anyway, this color is lighter than the color that I use for the rest of the year, and with it works really well with the moisturizer. I don't feel it on my skin. I can build it. It says it's a full coverage, but I think it's more of a medium, but it can be built up. And I have areas where I have to put a little bit more foundation than on the rest of my face. So, like on those patches on my cheek, around my nose, under my eyes. And I can do that without it becoming cakey or thick. I don't feel it. My skin feels smooth and soft and skin-like, and it's not shiny. I've never had any problems with my oil breaking through. So yes, I really like that one. So I'm going to quickly talk about tools, because one thing I really love is a big fluffy brush. Really big fluffy brush. And I went on a big fluffy brush search. I can't remember which brush I got first that made me go, ooh, big fluffy brushes. I have an Eco Tools and I have an e.l.f. that aren't going to be shown. But the ones I'm about to show you are my favorites, my absolute favorites. First, I have Royal and Langnickel. And I have another one of these. It's a smaller one. This is a powder brush. This one, it's pretty clean on the end, because this one I use to put my powder foundation on. Very sturdy, very soft. It covers up a lot of my face. Love it, love it. So I highly recommend their brushes. They're very, I haven't seen any smell, minimal, if any, shedding. I think this one shed just a little bit and then stopped. And the other one that I have didn't shed at all. So very nice brushes. I also recently, in one of my unboxings, got this crown brush. Again, soft, fluffy, and you can tell it's pretty well used. Very sturdy, no shedding, no smell. I use this one for setting powder for my T-zone and my eyes and for my concealer and stuff like that. This brush was actually, I think, a customer loyalty gift from NYX. And I use this one for my bronzer and my contour. Again, sturdy. It's not as big as my other big fluffy brushes. But I use this every day. Every day. Doesn't even matter what. I could be going with a lighter bronzer or darker bronzer, whatever. I use this every day. Love this. I have 2 Sephora collection brushes I use. This one is the Sephora, can't find it, bronzer number 44. I don't know if this is still available. It went out of stock at one point. I don't know if it's still back, but I use this for my blush. And the reason I can use it for my blush is that instead of sweeping, I pat. I think it gives me enough color, but it gives me a much more natural look to the blush than I think sweeping does. So even though it's this big brush, you can tell it's also not nearly as long, and it's not quite as soft, but it's very densely packed, and it hits my cheeks perfectly, and it does really well for my blush. And the second Sephora one I have is the Must Have Angled Brush, number 50. And this is one of two highlighting brushes I use. The other brush is the other Royal & Langnickel that I've talked about. And it's a rounded, tapered type of brush. And I don't use that every day. I use this one every day on the upper. And just like with my blush, I tap. Because I have found that if I try to sweep highlighter on, it actually emphasizes the texture. Whereas tapping seems to get it in where it needs to be without emphasizing. So that's another one. And I have my one and only Morphe, the E41. I saw this on Alexandria Ryan's channel and fell in love because I love big fluffy brushes. And this is for my setting powder around the rim of my face and everything else, because I use two different powders. I still haven't found the perfect powder yet. I'm looking. Same for concealer. Looking for the perfect concealer. I know what consistency I want on the concealer, and I'm having a hard time finding it. But anyway, this amazing, and it's a Morphe brush, so you know it's sturdy, no shedding. It's soft, it's fluffy, it's big. Fell in love. So thank you, Alexandria. Let's start with the mascaras and eyeliner. I'm not a pencil eyeliner fan. What I like to do is use a setting spray. This is the NYX matte setting spray. I don't use setting spray all over my face. I just use it to create eyeliner out of eyeshadow. And I basically spritz it on a flat surface. I have two mirrors, a mirror I can use. I spritz it down, dip my brush into the eyeliner, and then I eyeline. Into eyeshadow, and then eyeline. And it gives me a nice variety. And the setting spray is better than water because when water dries up, it's easier to brush off your liner. It's easier to cry off your liner. I found that with the setting spray, the eyeliner made out of shadow stays in place. So this is almost gone. I'm just ordered a refill for this. But not being a fan of pencil eyeliners, because the eyeliners from when I was a kid, they were hard, and they pulled, and they tugged, and so I never really did like them. And anytime I get an eyeliner in one of my boxes, my subscription boxes, I'm a little leery. And for the most part, I have a right to be leery. They aren't as hard as when I was a kid. Makeup has changed a lot since I was a kid. And those of you who are younger, you don't even know. If you're my age, you understand what I'm talking about. But all of you in your teens to 30s, no idea. But this one I got, and I fell in love. It's the Urban Decay 24/7 Glide On. And this stuff is smooth, creamy, pigmented. It stays in place. This actually sold me on this eyeliner. I have tried several others. There's one that I'm okay with, but I didn't fall in love with it. I will use it. Don't think I will buy more of them. But this one, I want to get all the colors. All the colors. And then my two mascaras. First one came with my treasure box that I'm going to show you a little later. And that's the Tarte Lights Camera Lashes. Now, I wasn't sure when I saw this that I would like it because of the brush. This is not my favorite kind of brush, to be honest with you. But it actually sold me. And this gives me length and volume, and it's beautiful. The other one it's actually very similar in formula to this that I like, I got this Perversion, Urban Decay Perversion, as a mini in that electric palette haul that I videotaped a little while back. I think I mentioned it a little bit back. And it's very similar to this, but it's also a little bit different. It's a little creamier. It's blacker. It has the same kind of brush. But what I really like about this one is that you can actually buy a mini of it. And the thing that bothers me about high-end mascaras is you're paying $20 to $25 for something you're going to have to throw out in 3 months. And, I mean, if you don't use it all. That's a lot of money to put on something that you're going to have to throw out. With the mini, like, hopefully it's not this small, but with the mini, I feel more comfortable purchasing that. So when this is gone, I will be buying another one of these. This is really black and beautiful, and it makes gorgeous lashes. And both of these don't take much. They don't need help from anything, and I don't need 2 or 3 layers for them to actually add some volume to my lashes. Love them both. Okay, so blushes. The one blush I have 4 different types of blush, including a NARS sample. The thing with the NARS sample, I can't really say much about it, is because it's too pink. I mean, it's really, really pink. But out of all of the blushes I've tried, my favorites are the tartes. And I have this in Tarte, which I got from Sephora as part of my birthday, and in Feisty, which came in my Ipsy bag. And these, I like the size of these little minis. I'm almost afraid to try to pick up a actual large size. But these are beautiful blushes in my book. They're gorgeous. Something like that. There we go. Kind of see it. As you can see, one is more of a deep color. The other one is a lighter. They're both on the pinky brown. The color is a bit off on my screen, but they're pinky brownish colors. I don't mind using bright colors, but these two have been my go-to since I've gotten them. And I love the consistency, the texture. They're soft. They have a lot of pigment. They last. They're beautiful. I love these. Now, my favorite highlighter has a story behind it. I did a large order at NYX, and they sent me this Strobe of Genius palette. And it's gorgeous. I actually really do like it. I don't use it as much as I used to when I first got it. It does have a couple colors that don't quite work for me. But one of the colors in here is, and it's not showing on the screen because my color here is but it's this lavender. And for the longest time, I ignored the lavender. And then one day, I put it on my skin and went, wow, that works. I started looking for a lavender highlight by itself. I didn't want a group of highlighters. I just wanted the one that I knew I would use. And there was supposedly one by Becca, supposedly one by Wet n Wild, another supposedly by e.l.f. I couldn't find the e.l.f. or the Wet n Wild in my store, and I wasn't going to pay shipping for just one little item off of their things. When I went into Sephora, they didn't have the Becca available, but they did have the Milk in Supernova. And this beauty, and it's beautiful. I don't know, you'll be able to see there that it's slightly cracked. It had dropped, but I was able to press the pieces in, and this thing, the color is gorgeous. I really wish you guys could see the color on this because it's beautiful. It's beautiful. But this has become my favorite highlighter. I wear this almost every day. The other one I have that's in an individual is, actually I have 2 of them. One of them I just got. But the other one I have is the Urban Decay 8-Hour Afterglow in Sin that they put out for a birthday gift. And I like it. It's not as bright as this one. But this is my favorite. This is the one I absolutely adore. I adore this. And I'm considering getting a second one just in case. So, first thing. This is not a lipstick. It is the Jack Black Jack Black, well, I'm sorry, the Jack Black Intensive Lip Balm, Intensive Therapy Lip Balm. This stuff rocks. I used to use Carmex all the time, and I still use it occasionally, and it did pretty well, but towards winter, my lips started to get a little more dry, and this fixed what Carmex couldn't. And I'm only using it at night. Once, like with my heavy moisturizer, I use this at bedtime to give all that stuff time to soak in. And once a day, and it's solved that problem. Amazing stuff. It's more expensive than Carmex, but it is worth every penny. Lipsticks. So I discovered in 2017 that I much prefer the narrower lipsticks to the traditional fat lipsticks. I also prefer pencils, and the reason is because of control. I feel these give me much more control over where my lipstick goes. This is Sephora's Burgundy Spirit, and you'll find that I'm a berry girl. I really am. It's a beautiful color, and I noticed that they had put it on sale, and then I wasn't able to get a replacement, so I'm hoping that they're not going out of stock on this color, because I think of all the lipsticks I own, this is the one that's going to get used up first. There's that. And then the other two are from NYX. I fell in love with a lot of NYX. Most of the rest of what I have is NYX, most of it. This is the Tarte Up, and one of these is Wine and Dine, and the other one is Dahlia. This one's Dahlia. There's Dahlia. And then this one's Wine and Dine. And you'll notice that it's very similar to the Sephora color. A little more purple and a bit darker. But I love the control. They last. Beautiful colors. I have to let this cat in. He's scratching the window. Hold on. Our boy kitties spend a lot of time outside, but as the winters come in and gotten colder, not as much. They're not happy with it either. Okay, so the other the two pencils I have are the NYX Simply Vamp in Bewitching, and then I also have the Crayon Jumbo, the Jumbo lip pencil in maroon. I am actually wearing this one on my lips. I have another color I'm about to show you over it, and then over that I have a Smashbox to lighten up the color. I really like how it came out, but this is a turn type. It's beautiful. The color is beautiful. That's the color unaltered. Again, you can see it's more of a berry. It's nice and dark. I love those beautiful berry darks. This is the maroon. This one you have to sharpen. A much darker maroon. These colors are coming off a lot brighter in this camera. But again, more control. They last. They're creamy. They're smooth. They're pigmented. They're beautiful. Then I've just started getting into liquid lips, and one of the first ones that actually got me in, other than Tarte, Tarte I think was one of the first things I got in one of my boxes, but one of the other things that that got me into it was Smashbox, and I love their Be Legendary Metallics. I wore this, especially this Crimson Chrome, right on the bottom right there. And you can't see it in the camera, but it is bright and glittery and red and a very metallic-y Christmas color. It's beautiful. It lasts. It goes over other colors beautifully as well. And then the next ones I got were the NYX Soft Matte Lip Cream, and this one I have to, NYX Xtreme Shine Lip Cream. And I have more of these than these two. But again, it's berry colors, nice and dark, beautiful. They dry down very quickly. They've got a lot of beautiful pigment. And they've become amongst my favorites. You can see the NYX Soft Matte has already started to dry down. The Extreme Shine is not. But the other one that I ended up liking was the NYX Suede Metallic Mattes. And this one I'm wearing over that Simply Vamp, and that's this purple. I have a picture of me wearing it on Tumblr. I was really surprised at how good this looked on my lips. And it obviously is a good topper. This last one is, that one was an Ego, and this one is in Exposed. I'm running out of room on my hand. And this one is more of a copper. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it. Oh, I got to find it first. I'm trying to do this quickly and I can't. Yeah, right there. Anyway, and they're smooth and creamy and beautiful, and love them, love them, love them. The first thing I want to mention, I'm actually wearing on my eyes today, and I know you really can't see with my glasses on and with the way the camera is, the webcam is. But I wanted to mention this. I didn't fall in love with this, but I do love it. Like it a lot. And that is the Tarte Treasure Box. And the only reason I wanted to bring it up was because a lot of people were dissing this as being too bulky. They were saying that you couldn't protect the colors from the blush and the highlighter. And I just keep this plastic thing in there. That's not hard. And I have other cosmetic palettes that don't fit in a standard storage. So, but I use this occasionally, and the one thing that it helped with me for is mattes. I am a shimmer girl, but this has some amazing mattes in it, and I think it got a bad rap. I really like it, and I love the formula that was used in here. The only things that I found that I didn't like in here were the highlight. You really have to work to build it up, and the eyeliner pencil, the Sex Kitten, I think. That was a bit on the harder side, and again, because it's hard, it's not one that I would use. But overall, I thought this was worth the price. So, palettes. Not going to go into a lot of these. Most of them have been discussed ad nauseum, or I have already talked about. So I will get the two that I've already, well, at least, yeah, the two that I've already talked about out of the way, or at least one of them. And that's the Decay Electric. This was my delving into color. The colors are gorgeous. And that color on the bottom, that looks yellow, it's actually a lime green. But these are nice, these are nice and bright and beautiful. And I started using it almost every day towards the end of 2017. Another one that I really love, it's an older one. I actually owned it, I think, at the beginning of 2017 and didn't really start using it until towards the end of 2017. And that's the After Dark palette. Its colors are darker. It's not as bright as the Electric. But again, it's got some beautiful pigments in it. Okay, one of those you can't really see. And that's the lighter gold that I put up here. But you can see it's very pigmented. Again, I had it for a while, but I didn't really use it until about fall. And that's when I fell in love with it. It's got beautiful packaging. My next one was actually my first introduction to the Naked palettes, and that was Naked Heat. And I'm not really going to do a whole lot of showing off of this. One of the things I liked about this is I'm so tired of browns. I'm a brown girl. I get the neutral thing, but I need something that actually shows up on my skin, and browns don't. There's a couple of browns in here, but most of these have a reddish tone. They're brighter, and they show up beautifully on my skin. And what I do is I actually use it in conjunction with the Smashbox Cover Shot, which has a lot of colors that the other one doesn't, and they complement each other beautifully. This one has a much darker red, a more goldy orange, just some beautiful complementary colors. I don't swatch well, guys. I try. And you can't really see the second one on there. It's much lighter. There we go. They're beautiful colors. They show up well, and these two palettes work together very, very well. Using them because I got into all the bright colors in the winter. And the last one I have, a lot of people hated. I love it. The reason I got this particular palette is I had picked up the Moon Dust. Mostly for the gold and silver that were in there. And nothing I did with the Moon Dust worked. I could get it to stay on my eyes, almost. I tried it dry. I tried it with my finger. I tried it wet with water. I tried it wet with setting spray. It was a horrible formula for me. And even worse, when I used water or setting spray, that gold or silver became very muddy, very ugly. And so I actually hesitated to buy this one, but it's the Urban Decay Heavy Metals. And a couple of things about this. It only goes in one way. So if you put it in and you need to store it this way, which is the way I store it, it will not fall out. Now, it's possible to fall out this way. It does. I'm not shaking it that hard because I really don't want it to fall out. But if you snap it in, it stays put. But what a lot of people complained about was the setup with the mirror in the middle. I like it. One, it reminds me of an artist palette. And like I said, I use setting spray to do my eyeliner, and there's some colors in here that I use for my eyeliner, and I can use that mirror, spritz my setting spray on it, and then I can pick any color out of the palette. Two, most of these colors work. They're beautiful, they're shimmery, they're sparkly, they're gorgeous, and I don't have the same problems that I was having with the Moon Dust palette. Now, a lot of people have mentioned that the Angel Fire is a problematic shade, and they're right. I haven't found a way to really get that to stick. What I generally use that for is to just brighten something up. But at any rate, I ended up using this from the moment I got it all the way through Christmas, and I still want to use it every now and then. But it's more of a holiday palette for me. But I love it. I adore it, and I think it got a bad rap. So that's all my stuff. Before we go, first of all, I want to hope that you all had a wonderful Christmas and a happy New Year. And I want to give a shout out to my wonderful husband. He doesn't understand makeup. It's expensive, but as long as I take care of business, and that's what life's about, taking care of business, right? As long as I take care of business, he doesn't care. He wants me happy, and he supports my hobbies. He has supported my writing, even though I'm not making money as, a novelist or anything. I'm lucky to get $20 or $30 a year out of my writing, to be honest with you. But he supports me with all that. And yes, I have to be home with my son. But there are a lot of people that I have met in the past who have talked about their spouses or their significant others who don't support the things that they love doing. And so I really appreciate the fact that my husband has looked at me and said, as long as you're happy, you know, so do what you need to do. Get your writing out there, play with your makeup. Considering we almost didn't make it. We almost didn't make it past our first or second year, I think. 20 years is astounding. And I hope we have another 20. And another 20 after that. I want us to be together in our 90s and just holding hands and enjoying each other's company the way we do now. And I really appreciate it, and I love him dearly for just supporting me and never being judgmental about activities or things that I'm doing that I love doing. And he's an amazing man. And here's to 20 more, baby. Anyway, yeah, I'm almost crying. I really, it's funny. My husband and I met, and within 3 weeks, people were looking at us and going, "Oh God, you guys are in love." And we would look at each other and go, it just amazes me. It amazes me that you can have somebody who's so part of your life. He took in my kids, and my kids were from a previous marriage, and he's loved them the best that he can and accepted them, and he accepted me with them. And there's a lot of men that won't do that. So anyway, thank you for watching. We did get long anyway, and I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to try and work on getting things shorter after this. If you want to see more, I've got Sephora Play, I've got another Lola, I've got more boxes coming in. I've just made a NYX order. I'm hoping to make a Sephora order soon of some more skincare stuff that I need. So I really hope that you will subscribe, click the notification bell so you know when I've uploaded, and hopefully I won't be taking up another 45 minutes to an hour of your time in the future like this, maybe once a year. You all have a good rest of your day, however much of your day you've got left, and thank you for watching, and bye.